There's a strong drive to try and establish an order of a type of observation, of an awareness of some belief that relates to the belief of something that is bigger than the person themselves, whether it's a belief that there's a God to save your soul, if you even value your soul. Some people in religions will believe that if they believe in that specific religion, then they will secure their souls into that belief system. And it's the same with believing that certain things like governments or institutes are bigger than the individual themselves, like this giant beast, egregoric beast that must be placated to or subjected to, become subjected to from this entity, this energy, this thing that's operating in this squared off building, squaring the compass, like a Masonic beast that leers down at people. And what I found in observing all of these things over time, I've really done some deeper journeying as well. That's what we're all supposed to do anyway, but nonetheless, for my personal self journey, I've been exploring and looking for the way that this reality, this realm, is put together. And I found that, if I take all the information that I have shared with people, most of the people that I know, and the information that I shared has a lot to do with the exploration of the self, of what is internal, whether you're able to actually close your system down so that you are unable to be moved and interfered with. Willingly, you close the door to false information that comes to you from all over the place, because as far as I recall, Carlos Castaneda had mentioned in one of his books that he had also discovered the same aspects, the same things, that there were these things that were watching from dimensional planes. And it's not about me telling you about the boogeyman that's watching you from the outside. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying the only way to conquer the situation within the position that you hold is to find the peaceful space within you. Because remember, where you go, you take peace with you. You literally move peace with you. A piece of what? Piece of freedom, piece of sovereign space within you. Sovereign, independent space. And over time, many people have become aware of the circumstances that are filling the minds of people, that some people say that this system, that this realm is the artificial world itself. Some people say that it's a prison planet. The Gnostics, the how many ever, whichever version of Gnostics have said that this world is a prison planet. I think that's where the whole belief system came from, and everyone just started to perpetuate that belief. And so what I want to bring to you is, if you look at the capacity of your consciousness, of yourself, of who you are, what you're able to do, if you look at what you can do in terms of setting things in place, let's say you've had a life of suffering and you've got yourself out of the suffering, okay? Let's look at that. It's not just going to be stuck on all of the bad things that have happened. I don't want to do that. That's not what I'm discussing. What I'm discussing is to look at the capacity of your power in terms of manifestation that you contribute to, possibly a belief system as well. And I'm not saying that it's your fault that because of innocent children and all that stuff, you need to step away from that entirely. I'm looking at the aspect of the metaphysical process in what you are able to do. You are spiritually able to create certain things. Now, approximately 30 years ago, you were able to do that um, in the right way, and it used to take time. When you would put something together in your thoughts, you would then do the spiritual visualization, you'd do the mantras, do those things, and eventually you'd find yourself in a space where you are able to then experience the fact that you're able to get a new job now. Okay, and so you got the job, and well done, and you did that, and you basically got that sorted out. And so it started to get less and less and less possible to do, with the fact that those people that have come or been born into that period or that timeline, that perhaps also learned about the same thing and had watched a ton of new age videos, which really tells you nothing other than go into the light and be blessed, be less than blessed, and be spellbound, and go to those things, and it's all space, helping you from the outside, little aliens helping you from the outside, and people telling everyone you can do that, you know, and none of these things are working. None of these things are actually working the way that they presented to be. Did I say 30 years ago? Maybe 15. It may have been 15 rather than 30 years, I think. I'm just looking in comparison to where I am and in terms of the timeline. And so the reason I'm bringing this up to you is that the reality that we exist within is not what it used to be. It's not the same one that you thought you knew. When did this change happen? It happened slowly and quietly, covertly, so that you would never know when it actually happened. And it was a long process. It was a many thousands of years of trying to ascertain the power to control the world. But because I said before that they can't really control the world, the original world, they could never do that. They had to formulate and create a false system overlay, which is a field of energy that reflects back to this puddle of life. And it feels like a puddle of life, actually, with life teeming in it, and it's just like this bubble that sits on the leaf, and it's observed from all angles, and the entities that have been rampantly working very hard to utilize the powers of the people that are operating as the predators in the system. It was all for that purpose. It was all for them. They wanted to have that power, to have control with the people that are on the pyramid at the top. However, I keep saying I cannot understand why. Is it just because people don't want to, become honest with themselves, be sincere within their own thoughts and their own thinking, that they allow these dramas to happen? I mean, it's so easy to say the devil came in and the devil did this to me, and then I don't have to take responsibility for my own shit that I'm thinking, or that I'm, perpetuating, or that I was believing that there was going to be, the devil was going to come through the door one day. I believed that, and so it happened. And then I can tell everyone, but I was right. And then I don't have to be, don't have to take responsibility for that belief, for creating it, for co-creating it. The person that said we are co-creators, I wish I could just go back into time and slap that person so hard, because it was because of that that it triggered things into motion. We are not co-creators, we are creators, and then we have other things that are creating through us if we permit it, if we permit them to do that. And then we have those section of the population that is completely oblivious and innocent to any of these things, and they are used as torture devices, tools, mechanisms, so that these things can derive pleasure from it. And then it leaves the middle bit of the people, the populace, to actually really start to question things and really start to get to a point and to maneuver the self forward to come to a solution instead of bitching and moaning about things. There are way too many new agers that are getting away with information that they are spreading, that they are basically cooking the consciousness with. Some of them are completely oblivious, and some of them are very obvious, very deliberate in their actions and what they say. And so I want to basically tell you that I think the best form to dismantle these things is to really point out the principles of what it looks like. What is correct way of thinking in terms of what you already know, in terms of your internal spirit, what it tells you, your soul, your heart of understanding, which is in your mind, it's in your entire body. You don't have to have the heart in one place and just be locked into that. We know that. I've always said that your heart is not the physical place that you must go, that you must investigate, but your heart of understanding, the place where things are, where they are very, very real, very soberly looking at things. There is a problem with believing and giving a lot of faith to things that are appearing to be elements that you don't like. For example, it was it was Baphomet, and that's this and that and that. I was looking at something yesterday. It was very interesting. It was a story, but it was an interview with I think the guy calls himself an evangelist, obviously, religion, and he's interviewing this young guy who has had an experience with being involved in psychedelics and all of that and drugs, and eventually went to harder drugs and so forth and so on. And he was grilling this young guy to get to admit that everything that he was doing was demonic, because once he admitted that everything that he did and what he experienced was demonic, then then it qualified why he had to find Jesus, why he had to find God, why he had to go to church to become holy and clean again. However, it's all fine and dandy when you do that sort of shit, because that whole exercise, that whole process in laboring this young man, there are causes for the actions that you do. Yes, we know that. And then laboring this guy and cornering him into a way that he had to say, okay, he sort of submits to, give his life to Jesus. Why? Why do you give yourself away to something else? Why do you want to do that? Because that is just yet again the same pattern that is repeated. Why do you lose your traditions because you want something? It is not in your nature to go to something, to do something specifically, but you do this because you want something else. That is part of the belief mechanism that holds this whole realm in place. It holds so much power over yourself and people around you and everything that is alive in this realm, so that that which is, let's say, bigger than you, let's say it is an organization, let's say it's a whatever, a cult, it doesn't matter what it is, can then have its way with you. Why do you give your soul to something? You should never do that. You should never think of actually doing that or give your life to someone. It's not right to do that, because if you do that, it means you have absolutely zero control over yourself. This is why why I started this channel. One of the reasons is to teach you not to give yourself away to anything, because it really actually happens and starts within you. That is where you have the most control, irrespective whether there's a bunch of archetypes that are sitting in the system overlay, that they look like Greek gods that leer down and peer down and control the little pyramids from the top down, irrespective of that, and that they're blocking you from actually accessing the original creator that had existed long before any of this shit had happened, for you to return all the way back. And let me just tell you this: those who have said that the demiurge has is just a creation of God. God created another version of itself to explore life. That's bullshit. Okay, it's absolute 100% bullshit, because there was no interest from the original creator to want to replicate itself to experience life. It understands, functions, and exists in a way that it doesn't need to have a copy of itself. So whatever that thing is that we are addressing, that we are going to be investigating, which I'm going to be investigating as well. I'm going to go back into that investigation, but I'm going to approach it with many other angles as well. Not angels, angles, because that is what an angel is. It's an angular form of understanding something. It's not even a real thing. I find it that's very important that we will need to address all the material that will be coming in the next few months, and that way we will be exploring everything in a much more critical manner. And when I say critical manner, I'm saying we're going to be breaking things down. We're going to look at everything from the beginning again, and it'll be a new sum of work that will be coming up. I have also created another channel which I will be using for that specific purpose, because I do feel that it'll cause a lot of stepping on toes, and we will be re-evaluating information, and we will also evaluate it with what we know within ourselves. And in that purpose, we will be able to establish a much stronger or better, more awareness in terms of what it is that we're looking at when we're looking at the system overlay. We were looking at the realms that are surrounding this realm that we're in, the dimensional worlds. We will be exploring the information that is being pumped into the system to keep people constantly stunned and hypnotized, so that they don't know anything else, that they just keep submitting themselves to everything. And so stay tuned to the follow up to the materials that will be coming up, and it will be discussed with much more clarity and direction. We're going to be touching on everything, every single thing that we know and that comes up. I would like to ask you to start to approach things from a much more sober perspective. Until next time.